Hey there, welcome to Out and About Art, your PGTV source for all things art in Polk County. I'm your host, Dion Spires. We've come to the end of another year, and on this episode, we're going to take a look back on the many exciting things that we've seen in our Polk County art community throughout 2017. This is our year in review. Throughout 2017, I've gotten the chance to sit down with a number of great members and allies of our art community to discuss their organizations and their events. Together, we learned about new partnerships, opportunities in local theater, the ways that our local organizations have been working to better the lives of our veterans and young musicians through the arts, and of course, kept up with local events. Take a look at these highlights from 2017's interviews here on Out and About Art.
We did not have one space on campus that was dedicated to our arts programming. We have Boland Studio, which is a shared space. We now have a Mac lab, a truly state-of-the-art Mac lab for our film students, broadcasting, and graphic design students. Mm-hmm. We had no music space. We were working out of an old dormitory. It was actually a nursing home.
Wow.
And so the core rehearsal hall, as I said, that was our first dedicated space. All of this is new space to provide our students the premier opportunities for learning.
Wow, that's very exciting, and a lot of growth here happening, I can see.
Growth in facilities we talk about, but we're also growing our programs. Mm-hmm. So I mentioned the Bachelor of Arts in Visual Arts, but we have also just unveiled a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Creative Writing, and that's our first BFA, our first one of many more to come. So we're expanding our travel abroad opportunities for our students, and so you see the programs or our facilities that are certainly having some changes, and they are designed so well. The acoustician that we brought on for the project, if you were to look at our music facilities and I'd love to take you in and let you listen in one of them, and you will experience the acoustical design from our acoustic consultant. But they are designed well, and we're just excited to have these facilities. But on the back side, paralleling what we're doing with facilities, then we're also making programmatic advancements.
What kind of impact have you guys had since you started as far as your fundraising efforts go?
Well, year to date, we've raised about $50,000 for the cause.
Wow. And so all of that money goes towards funding these funding these instruments for students?
About 95%.
95%. And how do you guys go about finding the students that are in need of these instruments?
Well, we depend on the schools to actually do that. We deal through a lady, Beth Cummings, at the Polk County School Board, and she's in contact with all of the band directors. And the band directors know the students in their schools that need help. So the band director submits, call it a request, to Beth. No names, she doesn't want to know the names of the students, but it's strictly, here's the circumstances. And from that, then Beth will takes the money and doles it out as well as she can. The Polk Education Foundation is who we actually send our funds to, and they write a check to whoever's going to furnish the instruments for the kids. The system works well. Beth's measure of success is that so far she hasn't had a request she couldn't meet.
Are you able to speak to how the art can impact these people who have been diagnosed with PTSD? What type of impact that has on them if they come and participate in these classes?
You know, in our experiences at Arts Ensemble, just through the Vet Center, and if I just use our personal experiences before talking about some of the study, it's dynamic impact. We have returning clients. It is impactful to their spouses and their family members who also participate. It is engagement and it's empowerment for an individual who quietly loses their voice just due to the triggers that happen as a result of engagement in some situations. You know, what I'm hoping in the environments that we're creating now, because we can control these environments differently than going into somebody else's program, for instance, okay? So at Outer Space, when I said, you know, let's move this program to outer space, it was let's create the perfect environment for the veteran who needs escape and empowerment and engagement in the arts. And so I think that overwhelmingly my experience in the first year as an executive director, watching what was happening, was excitement to see how well it actually works.
I just found out about the Edge Theater Company, and I want to introduce the audience to who you guys are a little bit. Jennifer, tell me a little bit about the Edge Theater Company.
Well, I'm the artistic director and one of the founding members. We started about 3 years ago here in Bartow, and we have 3 separate programs. We have a youth program, a main stage program where we perform more adult-oriented things, musicals, with adults actually in the Tampa Bay area, and then we have a radio stage play series here that we also do in town.
What types of shows do you guys tend to do within your different programs there, as far as genre or style? What can people expect if they come to your programs?
So from our main stage, we do, like I said, shows with adult, typically emerging talent. So we did Edges by Pasek and Paul about 2 years ago. That was the first show that we did. We also produce cabarets for emerging artists. We help them develop their cabaret, and we'll arrange for performances, again, in the Orlando and the Tampa Bay area. We're hoping to bring that here to Bartow. For our radio stage play series, we have live actors and live sound effects. And just this past December, we did A Christmas Carol. We hope in the future to do It's a Wonderful Life this coming up December, as well as trying to find time to squeeze in War of the Worlds, which is always a good time. We started our youth series here in partnership with Bartow Academy, where we did the Lion King Jr. with them last year, and so we're just expanding that, where we have the elementary school kids as well as community kids, and so that's how Beauty and the Beast came to be.
So you say that you have over 500 works that you can bring into here. What was the motivation for picking this particular exhibit for kind of the kickoff?
Well, we are going to have an exclusive collecting focus going forward with the college's art collection of the figure in American art. No other institution has that as its primary collecting focus. So we really hope to create a niche market in that. So you can come to the Polk Museum of Art and you will see great collections of art across a lot of 20th century, but then we'll even go back further, but all centering around the exclusive inclusion of at least a figure in each of the works. And it means it's vastly open-ended. You can go as abstract as possible. You can also go extremely academic in terms of the figuration. And so as we build out that collection, we'll have a lot of options. Thematic exhibitions, which I'm really excited to begin working on when we have a few moments to breathe after this process. We are literally a week and a half into this. So we're excited about that, having thematic shows that maybe surround, say, figures in landscapes or the nude or genre scenes.
The show is about the hardship of the summer months for Florida artists. So we have artists coming in as far as St. Augustine, Melbourne Beach, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, and then we also have artists that are right here, local, in Lakeland.
And Marcia, Betsy was talking about organic artists, and you are certainly an organic artist. You're a basket weaver.
Yes.
And what I was surprised to find out is that these materials that you use are 100% from a tree, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Tell me about your art.
I work largely with black ash, which means I literally start with the tree. I spend about a month in material prep each year. I go out into Cedar Swamp in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, wearing my muckers and with a saw slung over my shoulder, and been doing this for 30 years. And I cut down a tree, haul it in from I get help. Have assistants up there that help me lug the tree out of the woods, and I pound on the log with a 4-pound sledgehammer because the growth rings of black ash, the cells between them are very porous. So when you crush those cells, you can separate the growth rings from each other.
Everyone loves to hear a good story, and every song that we're doing is a really great story. And so I think it gives everyone an opportunity to connect to something and to someone or an idea or an experience they've had that maybe they weren't prepared to that night, or maybe they thought they were the only one who's ever felt that way or had that experience. Or I think musical theater surprises you in that way. Right. Yeah, it's very universal.
And you'll get a chance to witness someone who's actually will be playing many roles that night.
Yeah.
So a little backstory will be given probably for each number, and she'll be anywhere from a barmaid and a floozy to Ava Perón. So there's a big difference there. Yeah. So we'll get to see her versatility and the versatility of the orchestra as we go through the centuries. Not the centuries. You know how old I am. I've been through the centuries, but through the decades. So it's going to be a great evening. I can't wait.
How did the Dracula tradition kind of start at Florida Dance Theater?
I've always wanted to do Dracula, but never was ready to do it, you know. And a good friend of mine set a totally different Dracula on Augusta Ballet, which when I was dancing there, and it was so fun. And I loved to watch it, and I loved to, you know, that when I first saw that, which was a long time ago, I said, oh, I want to do that someday. So Stefan and I talked about it, we found music, and we did a lot of research together. And Jermaine, who is Dracula, also helped with us, and just to choose the music, and this sounds great for this section when this is happening. I mean, and it just happened, and it's wonderful. But this is the last year we're going to do it. We're going to put it to bed for a few years. We've done it 3 years in a row, and next season's our 25th anniversary, so we're going to do something completely different for our opener.
Well, I've been doing theater most of my life, and last year I went and saw A Christmas Carol, and it was really good, and I liked the style of the radio play. And then Jen Marshall got up and spoke afterwards, and I just really liked her energy. And I had some students that had known her and had done things with her, and they had spoken very highly of her. So I went up afterwards, and I introduced myself to her, and I said, you know, I didn't hear about auditions, and there weren't any, as it turned out. I said, but I really like what you do, and I really want to be a part of this. So I got her email and found out more about her, and so I made a point that when it came around about the time to audition for this one, that I connected with her and made sure to find out when the audition was, because I really like doing it. You know, it's my passion, I guess.
Nice. Yeah, I know what you mean about the energy from Jen, because I went and saw Beauty and the Beast Jr. and just her speaking in between. She's very captivating. She's very enthusiastic about what she does. So, Kristen, what was your reasoning?
It was similar for me. I have not been in theater a lot. I've done a little bit of work in children's Christmas plays at church and things like that. But I also attended A Christmas Carol last year, and it was a very neat way of doing it. I had never seen a radio stage play before, and I thought that was just a very creative way of telling a story. And I enjoyed listening to the sound effects and just seeing the actors as they were speaking their parts and reading those through the mic.
Packages here on Out and About Art are meant to allow the viewers to learn about new organizations and upcoming events, or experience past events which they may not have gotten the chance to attend. Or maybe you did and you'd like to revisit it. Complete with preview photos and footage from rehearsals and performances, they're designed to paint a picture and to tell the story of those involved. Check out some highlights from a few of my favorite Out and About Art packages from 2017.
I have participated in other shows, but this is my first fine arts show.
Usually it's the best of what you do. It usually means we have more pieces entered. We usually draw people from further away from these shows because there's more prize money for this show. So people tend to compete a little bit from further away to make that extra effort to get here to compete, to try and get the more prize money. Over the years it's changed. It used to be more of a local artist. Now it's broader. My attitude is the better the artist with whom you compete, the better your art is. You up your level. Just like someone training for the Olympics. You know, in high school you start running, if you're running track or whatever, you run at the high school level, then you go to districts, then you go to state, then if you're good, you go to regionals and you get better. If you're always only competing against the people in your city or your little local area, you will only elevate yourself to compete there. You need new blood, new artists always coming in to push yourself, to become better, to elevate yourself.
The concert is a fundraiser for our Legacy Scholarship, and that was something that was very important to the Alumni Relations Committee. The Legacy Scholarship is designed to recognize a graduating senior who not only demonstrates academic and artistic achievement, but also someone who recognizes the importance of a Harrison education.
Last year we did a simple GoFundMe. It was fine. We raised the money. We gave away a scholarship. And this year we thought we'd do something different, and we'd do something that we could give back to the community as well, and then also showcase what Harrison alumni are doing in the community or in their own communities or across the globe.
Our intent really is to recognize that student. What better way to do that than bring alumni back who have kept the arts a part of their lives?
This place gave me so many cool opportunities, and I want that for people who come after me, you know what I mean? How can I elevate, you know, future artists in some way? And if it's raising money by, you know, dancing just, you know, for a little bit, then I'll do it. I'll do anything, you know.
And then after 30 years, I came back, and there was no orchestra here. I just felt like it was gone, and I didn't know how to go about it to give it new birth. And I talked about it a lot because that was what I wanted to do, but I didn't know where to go to even ask. And so we were talking about it in the meeting one day, and they were thinking they spent a lot of money bringing in an orchestra. And finally somebody said, do you think you could start an orchestra for that kind of money? And I said, oh, I think so. I'll sit down and see if that's a possibility.
The exhibit here is the Graphic Design Senior Thesis Exhibition. This is the capstone course, so every graphic designer is required to take it. This will also be a pretty large part of their portfolio. They'll have other design work that they've done in the past, but the senior show is going to be a big portion of it just because there's so much work that's involved. We have 9 students that are exhibiting their senior thesis in the show here. They spend the fall semester working on the design work, starting with the idea for the brand and then executing logo, color palette, typography, photo style, poster design, and then the second semester they have to actually make it all happen, printing out the posters, talking to vendors, and then taking all of their work, which is all 2D design, and then installing it in a 3-dimensional space.
The opportunity to perform before a live audience is very valuable, which any student of any instrument or skill appreciates that, especially if they want to go on and further their skill.
I think it's very important because this improves not only your status but also how well you do in life, not just because of the how good you are or your status, but also because this doesn't just help you in music itself, it helps you in many other things, like academics and even sports.
I feel like the festival is really important because it promotes classical music in Polk County, which some people might not know much about classical music, but it gets teachers to instruct their students more about classical music, and hopefully more competitors will follow with that.
It would be a great joy and for it to continue because I think the idea is a good one. And as I say, it's a community value and a personal value for the participant.
It is something that sort of pulls you immediately into the center of the story, and it places you in each of these characters' positions. What would you do if you were in this situation? And it challenges you because you see every single side. I say that this play is like if you were to drop a a pebble into a piece of water. And the pebble is the event, and then all the ripples, you know, there's a cause and effect, and it sort of forces you to go, okay, this is messy. And if you were in this situation, how would you deal with it? And what would you do? What would you say? And how would you know? So the reaction from the audience has been, it's always been positive in that they felt like it was honest and they were touched by it. But some people have a hard time. We have some people who come back 3-4 times, they follow us, and then we have people who are like, I really appreciated it, I can never see it again, it's too much.
This is the 6th time Theater Winter Haven's gone to nationals. We've never won. And we are the only theater in the country to have gone this many times, made it to nationals this many times. So, yeah, it's very exciting.
At that time, we didn't have a home. We were borrowing space from Florida Southern College. We were rehearsing at the Garden Theater when we would do our big shows. So now we needed a space on our own. We needed to produce on our own. Through some very weird twist of fate, I have absolutely no idea because I didn't go seeking this building, this facility. The supervisor of the building came to me, or actually to a friend, and said, hey, send Scott over. There's, you know, a theater and a dance space, and have him come over and talk to me. And when we came over and I turned on the lights, a million ideas ran through my head. There is this beautiful dance studio sitting in the dark, a theater, a shop space, storage space, all the things we could possibly need. And it's 1 block from my house. So that was really how we got in here. Is Rhonda Kelly is the woman who runs the Fresh Start program on this campus, and she is my supervisor, and her and I talked, and through a very small bunch of hoops to jump, we did our paperwork, and here we are.
This is our 2nd year for Art Pop. Art Pop is art plus public outreach program, and it was started in North Carolina by a woman by the name of Wendy Hickey. She worked for a billboard company in North Carolina and then realized they have a lot of empty billboard space, you know, that just isn't utilized. So she had this really great creative idea to contact artists to see if they would make work, and the billboard company could, for a very reduced rate, put the artwork up on billboards. And of course it's a great success. You've got really, you know, visual graphic work and original work going up on billboards. It's unexpected. So she decided to spread the concept and approach other cities to do the same. Platform Art saw it. We're always searching for new projects to do and looking for creative things that are going on in other places so that we can either bring them home or tailor them for our own community here. So we're now partnering with Art Pop to communicate or commission artists here in Polk County to produce original work to be put on billboards.
I just saw it online. I just saw it on social media, and I said, hey, I'm just going to try it. And I never enter into these things. I just said, I might as well. Let's just see what happens. And I drew something that I didn't even like, really. I started drawing it, and I was on the fence about it for a long time. Even my husband came and looked at it, and he was like, oh, that's good. So I entered it in, and I was very surprised when I got chosen.
Dan Chesnicka asked me shortly after he started his job at Theater Winter Haven what I wanted to do, if I could do anything. And I said that I wanted to have a choir of my own because I play piano all the time for other choirs and for school choirs and things like that. And this was something I just have wanted to have for a long time. And he said, great, let's do it. And then for a year or so, we kind of just kept talking about it. And then this past summer, some money appeared from some very generous people, and Dan said, hey, let's do this now and let's get it started. So, you know, I was worried that, you know, it's something I want to do, but I don't know if anybody else is going to want to show up for this kind of thing, but it turns out that I think there's quite a bit of interest in singing in this community, so I'm excited about that.
And he talked about how he really thought that a community choir would be something that would really take foot here. And he was right. No sooner did we start this, we had 30 plus people show up right out of the gate. Before we've had a chance to put up any posters, that's just word of mouth.
There are people in this group who have been in choirs for 30 years, who read music very, very well. There are people in this choir who have never sung in a choir before, who do not read music at all. And then there are people who show up again on the second or third or fourth week, and that's great.
Can I hear that? Just the first, out of time. We're just doing that first Gloria. All right. Here it is. 1, 2. Gloria.
So we talk about writing to be read, and then like I always wanted to read the things to my grandma that I wrote about her because she would like cry because she'd be so like happy kind of thing. So I really just think it's like just showing you or showing other people, like, because some people don't think of writing as an art. Like I just know that some people don't. So it's kind of like let me prove it to you kind of thing.
I didn't have this opportunity when I was in high school. I took one creative writing class in high school, and I ended up coming to creative writing rather late in life. So to be able to have a place when you're 14, 15 years old to go and take multiple classes a day within the genre, within the field, and get that and nurture that and be around other people who are into it, I mean, it's an incredible thing, and I can see the changes happening in the students. You know, the more they read, the more they engage with it. You know, you find that everything you write is in conversation with everything else that's being written, and that's a really powerful thing.
I genuinely believe Parody he kind of shaped me more as a person, as a writer as well, just because like there was so much support there. And like, I think I learned the most about myself is that like, it's okay to be weird and it's okay to write like the raw emotional things like that. Like it's okay to make people cry, make people uncomfortable. And like we also always talk about that, like if you can make someone uncomfortable, then they're gonna listen to you kind of thing.
Give me your bloody knees and the whites of your eyes. I want to rust your bones and fill your head with sand. The breath that gave me life is noxious, with lips of scar tissue.
To me, well, you know, to try to encourage people is to try to present something that they don't think, that they believe is different. You know, whether or not it is. I mean, they may still go to see a play. We may do something interactive that involves the audience more, which is also very interesting and intriguing. And if you've never been involved in a performance like that, it's a very different experience. I do think that people are interested in different experiences. I mean, otherwise we wouldn't, you know, have certain kinds of entertainment. The video game industry wouldn't be, you know, blowing out the doors regularly. There's always something new, and the idea is to try to take something that's old, which is theater, and present it as something new.
We have wonderful community theaters and we have wonderful schools here. My partner, Mark Hartfield, in this theater, he is the head of the theater department at Polk State and does tremendous work there. And we don't need to do that again. It's being done. We're not looking to compete or take an audience. We're looking for people who don't normally go to the theater. Not that we don't welcome theater goers, because I think they will see something different for them. If they've seen the big musicals and they love those, here's a different kind of story. Here's a different kind of storytelling that I think will interest and captivate them.
Thanks for joining me to relive those events from over the last year. There are plenty of organizations kicking off their new year with events throughout the month of January, so stay tuned to see what you can experience in your area. As always, thank you for joining me, and tune in next month for more art out and about.